Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we are looking at the PocketBook Inkpad Eo. And is this a device that you should consider? And what does it have going on? What is it about? Is it something competitive with, say, the Bookses of the world or the Supernotes of the world? Let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel again. Great to see you all. I got into a conversation with PocketBook, actually reached out to them about the ink poster because as many of you know, I am very interested in the Spectra 6 space, and I have my Allura frame, which I absolutely love. And I saw over on Vlad Kostek's channel that when he went to CES, he looked into the ink poster and has been looking at some other different Spectra 6 technologies. And we even recently talked about this on a podcast episode that we did, and I will link that in the description. But I reached out to PocketBook, which is the company that owns Ink Poster, and they said, we're not really in a position to give out the Spectre 6 panels right now, but we'd be interested in your take, and they'd be interested in my take on our other devices. And so we started talking back and forth, and I was like, well, I don't really review straight readers, but I also don't really review non-Android note-taking, just because that hasn't been where I've kind of landed. I usually look at something in the Android ecosystem, so even Supernote is Android. And we settled on the Inkpad Eo, which I had seen some reviews on, was curious about. It is a Kaleido screen. It's running an older version of Android, Android 11, which happens to be the same one that's on the Supernote Nomad and the Manta, I believe. So it's not way far behind, but it's not the freshest version of Android, and it's a little bit older Kaleido screen. So I wanted to get that in my hands, take a look at it, and they were kind enough to send this to me with no strings attached. There's no pre-review, there's no screening. They haven't had any input into the production of the video. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun to talk about it because I haven't seen as much coverage. I believe Jeff Moss did a video on this device, just a different way to come at it. But with all of that said, let's go ahead and jump on over. We'll take a look at the device. We'll get it unboxed. We'll have some quick early impressions, and then we will wrap up for a few final conclusions. All right, everyone. So here we are with the PocketBook EO. And the reason that when PocketBook got into conversation with me that I asked for this specific device was that you'll notice right here, powered by Android. So they only have two devices in their line currently that are Android tablets. Now, the reason for that is most of the tablets that I've reviewed or talked about have Android in some way as a base. So for me, it was very important to stay consistent in that. And plus, I was also interested in this device because it is EMR. It lists Wacom as their standard. But anyway, what we're going to do here is a quick unboxing. I'm going to show you what's in the packaging. And I've already opened this, but I wanted to be able to show you the package as well. But that was just so I could set it up and take a look at it. Again, pretty nice packaging. It did come plastic wrapped. This is a new device that they sent me. I will go ahead and open it up here. You'll see that it's got the Inkpad Eo right on top, and it does have this nice wax paper, which I always enjoy that. Pretty sustainable. It's got some foam padding here to keep it safe. So we'll set the device to the side real quick while we go ahead and look and see what else is in the box. So we'll pull off this top cover. And then under here, it opens up kind of like a book again. And there is your USB-A. So that'll go right there. You have your user guide and documentation here. So you've got your quick start guide right here. And then you have what looks like some extra nibs and a removal tool for the nib. Also, it does have SSD, so you can add extra storage. And then right here is their stylus. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's go ahead and we'll look at the device itself. So let's go ahead and open this up. And now that I'm not putting it back in, I don't have to be as careful. So I can actually peel this right off. And this is the Inkpad Eo. Now, this is only for sale in Amazon. There is not a PocketBook store in the US. I don't know if there are other retailers who sell this elsewhere, but for the US market, it's only available on Amazon. I did ask them for information on that. And so I do have the Amazon affiliate link down in the description if you want to support the channel. Again, there's no pressure to do that. If you'd rather find somewhere else to buy it, feel free to. I'm not recommending it yet at this point because I really haven't had time to delve into it. You're seeing this. All I've done is boot it up and do the update. That was it. And then we will look, if you want to look at the colors here, they are pretty vibrant. Now, this is a Kaleido screen, and first impressions, it's a little bit lighter here because I'm well lit. It's a little bit darker in person, so you will notice that. Let's look at the build quality really quickly. It is fairly heavy, I will give it that, but it's a full metal build all the way around, very premium feeling. It has the PocketBook along the side here, speakers along the bottom. There's your power button, and it looks like a microphone array here at the top. And then you also have here the SSD card slot. Very similar to other devices in this category. Let's go ahead and power it on and take a look at it and see what it looks like once it powers up. What you will notice is very similar to most Kaleido screens. Once this powers up, it's going to turn that front light on automatically. It did that to me yesterday when I did that. And one other thing just to show you the power port. I don't know if you saw that when I was showing you around the outside of it, but very much quality build. Now, they did not send a cover with this. I don't know if they have their own covers. If they do, I'll link that down in the description as well. But I think it's very important to understand kind of what comes in just the regular box. So when it boots up, here's the screen you get. And again, this is going to be very much initial impressions and a walkthrough. I have not done anything on this device yet. One thing you will notice that I didn't show you before is that there is a camera on the back. Now, what's cool about this camera is it's flush. You don't even know it's there, quite frankly, unless you're actually looking for it. So when you get here, you get to the home screen, it defaults to the Note app. I think that's because they're trying to say this is an eNote and reader. You do have some pre-installed apps here, and you can also get the Google Play Store. So here's the user guide. It tells you hold down and drag it to another app icon to form a group. So very much if you're used to the Android ecosystem, you're going to feel at home with this device. So obviously you have your apps, you have your camera. So we could open this up and you'll be able to see that there is the camera. On e-ink, not such a great thing, but I could, as far as, for a real camera, but I think this would be really interesting for scanning a document, other things of that nature, but pretty cool. And then I can always use my gestures and swipe. You also have a task list here. So you can create tasks and to-dos. You have a calendar app that is here, so we'll look more into that as we go. It looks like we have some sticky notes available here, things that you have notes or books that you've read for today. So very similar to how books may do it because they show your most recently accessed notes and your most recently accessed reads. So it'll be really interesting to go through this. You can create a new event here. And we'll go through all of that when we go through a more formal review. But let's go ahead and get out of this. You have your files. So you have pictures, audio, video, documents, external storage if you have it, all files, and of course APKs if you want to do any side loading. And then you have your library. Library displays files solely from the storage in books and default. You can import locally, so you can do a local import. You can also transfer by Wi-Fi, and you can import from other file storage locations. But one thing I really want to look at is the notes functionality. So right now, again, basic raw impressions. So this isn't something that we're going to have a ton of information on yet. But you'll notice here that there are favorites. You do have a folder icon, which I'm curious. You can create a new folder right here within your notes. You can do subfolders right in the main note file structure. So kind of cool, gives you some different things that you can do. And then you can, of course, get back out of that and go back to the root. So here we are back in the root file structure. I think that's going to be very helpful for those of us who really use a file-driven structure. But one thing that's going to be really interesting is to see how this pen works and whether or not I like it the way that I do some of the books pens. It's very light. I will say that it doesn't have the heft that something like the books stylus does, which of course you all know I'm a fan of that, even though it's not one of the most beautiful styli out there. It definitely is really good for me. This one's very much, it feels like a plasticky feel. So I'm not sure how much I'm going to like that, but we will see. And let's go ahead back to recents and let's go to a new note. And so it's going to walk me through a little bit here what the note interface looks like. It tells me what the notes are as far as how to name it. Tap on the notes to rename it. Click on the pencil. It does a really good job of walking you through this. Click on the pencil here to show the icon or hide the floating toolbar. It tells you your different styles of pens. So you have calligraphy, pencil, brush, ballpoint, and marker, and it shows you what your colors look like. User guide notes. It tells you to click on the arrow icon to show or hide all tools list or floating toolbars. You can long press to drag or change the toolbar, and press or minimize the floating toolbar. So a lot of different options that you can use here to kind of navigate through. And you can press the export button, which is right up here, and press more to do OCR or to rotate the note. I don't believe it has auto rotate, but we'll see. And there's undo and redo. And then of course you can go over here to see your pages. And that's it. So that's your tutorial. But it's nice that it has that, and you'll notice here that you also have a nav ball, very similar and reminiscent to books and some of the other products. But now let's see if we can change our template. So one thing is you can go over here and you can add a page, add a template, change your canvas size, do a lot of different things. But let's go ahead and just go to a template, see what templates are available. So there are no recents, but let's go into Office. And you get a few here. You get a schedule management, meeting schedule, Cornell notes, to-do list, or McKinsey notes. And then you have defaults. So I tend to like to write on regular paper. So let me see, not a ton of options here, but let's get into a regular line here. Let's go ahead and move this out of the way for now. So let's move it down here so I'll be able to write comfortably. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this because I'm right-handed and it makes it a little bit easier for me to write. And I'm going to start writing and just test out the feel here. So one thing I will say is it's very smooth. This is very much a smooth screen. There's no real resistance, even with the nib. And it is pressure sensitive, but it almost feels like, because you'll notice here I go real light, and then when I push, you get that pressure sensitivity. It looks like it has a smart scribble. So very much reminiscent of books right there. So that's actually built in, it appears. And so you can do text recognition, AI selection, or strike through erase. So that's what they call that. It is not exactly a great writing experience. Let me try it with the book stylus. And I will say that it still feels, and again, it's EMR, so any stylus will work on this. And apologies for my handwriting. But again, it's so very slippery and it feels like it might need to break in a little bit. So we'll have to do some of that. There's no oils here. But this is very much a glass screen. But I'll tell you right now, I like writing with the book stylus better just right out of the gate. It just feels better to me. Not that this one's bad, but that tip just, first of all, if you look at the way the tips are designed, let's see if we can get this on camera. Again, you'll notice that the book's tip just sits out further. This is very close. And this is not. It's more like a real pen. So I'm not a huge fan of the stylus. But the nice thing is with this is you don't have to use the stylus that comes on board if you don't want to. So let's try a couple of different pen styles. So let's increase our calligraphy here. Let's make it bigger, first of all. Still not loving that one. Let's try the ballpoint pen. Let's take it up to a 4. This actually feels better. And I don't know if that's just my writing is atrocious. The scribbled erase works awesome, by the way. Much faster and more accurate than books. I don't know why that is, but it's just really, really quick and really gets most of it right away. That one didn't, but there you go. So again, pretty cool. And if you look at the brush here, there is some latency. It's not moving quite as fast as some of the other tablets that I've used, and that actually picked up as a scribble erase. But let's look at the red. And the one nice thing about Kaleido is that there's no flashing involved. But let's look, there's your red, and it comes right through. It's not easy to see on camera as far as the quality goes, so I'm not sure what that's going to look like. Let's see if we can pull down and get our warm and cold lights going here. Pull the front light up to about 33%. Let's throw in a little bit of warm light. Is that about 10%? And let's go here. And now let's take a look. A little bit better, but it's still very hard to see on this screen. It looks much better in person than it does on there. Let's see if we can do a different color here. Let's try green. Green tends to pop a little more. Yeah, hopefully that's coming through. That green looks really nice on here. Of course, it's doing the scribble. So let's turn that off for this demonstration. So we can get rid of the strike through erase. Let me go ahead and do a quick refresh. So we'll throw that out. And now let's look at that green. And of course it's EMR, so you're going to get nice, smooth, straight lines. And you can see that pressure sensitivity really pick up. And let's see if there's a shader. It doesn't look like it. And plus, the way this nib is built, it really isn't going to work well for that. So that's your note-taking experience. Let's look at a couple other things here. You do get layers. So you can have different layers. You can zoom in or out. You can fit the height, fit the width, fit the screen. So quite a bit of flexibility there on the canvas size, which is nice. It does have, that's where you can hide your toolbar. When you go to export, you can do a PDF, PNG file, send by email, or share. And it looks like it might give you several options for that. So it's going to generate the files here. We'll see what it says it's going to do. So you can quick share or you can do Bluetooth. So we'll take that out of there. We don't want to actually do that. For the AI, you can do text recognition. Let's see if that actually gives you, let's go to another page here. And let's just say, hello, everyone. And then let's circle that. And it does the smart lasso. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't give you a lot of information here. So you can copy. Oh, actually, that's really cool. Let's undo that and take a look at that. So we'll go ahead and we'll do hello, everyone, and then we'll smart lasso because they have a smart lasso tool, which is very fast and very responsive, actually. And then we will hit this to recognize that text. And there it goes. It recognized the text. I can rotate that text. I can enlarge that text. I can move the text. So let's move it down here. So we'll circle that and we will convert that text. And then once I convert it, then I can go ahead and change what I want it to be. I can change the color. So I can go ahead and change the color on it. I can change it to bold. All right, everybody. Well, welcome back. This was, what do I think so far? So remember, this is just unboxing, early impressions, and what do I think about the technology? And I'm a little bit in two headspaces here. One, it's always nice to see a competitor, somebody trying to do something different or something new or to have a different take, someone getting outside of the norm. And PocketBook, I think, is trying to do some of that. They tried these entries with the Android lineup, and that, in some ways, from what I've seen of some of their other devices, may have hurt them a little bit. But again, it's very early on, so I don't want to be too far down that road. What are the things on this device that kind of excite me? Well, one, it's having a 10.3 Kaleido panel. Now, it is an older generation panel, but also having the ability to use the camera. So I'm interested to see how that works. I've never had a device that had a camera on it. The new digesting feature with Supernote allows you to use your camera, but it does OCR, so it's not for annotating on pictures. or on documents, this is specifically designed to take a picture of a document or a photo or anything else and annotate on that. So we're going to have to see how that works out in the longer term review. I do also like that it has speakers and that it has a smart light that allows you to have the adaptive brightness. It reminds me of my Kobo, but it comes with a really cheap stylus. The stylus is straight plastic. It doesn't really work excessively well in initial testing, but we'll see how that improves over time. Since starting filming this, I did receive an update that did help with the latency on the pen specifically, and added in some to-do functionality to be able to circle a word and create a to-do. You can also create headings. There's some things in the final review you'll see because obviously I've been playing with it a little bit since I started this. So it's got some interesting things that it does. Now, is it going to be something like a books platform fully functioned? I don't think so. Is it going to be as well developed as the Supernote? No. But does it offer a lot of functionality, which it does? It has a file structure, a file tree. You can create multiple files, but the note-taking experience and the annotation tools are very basic. Again, it depends on how much that matters to you. And as I go through and I do the final review, the full review, you'll be able to see more of that in action. But as a general sense, it's so far not ringing any bells as being the best device on the market. That being said, I don't know where it's going to land yet. I will say that from a price comparison perspective, it's very high. For example, right now, to buy this and to get without a cover like I did and just the stylus on Amazon, you're looking at $579. And just for some context, if you look right now at the Books Note Air C or 4C, you're looking at $129.99 for the Note Air 5C, which is the top of the line, brand new Kaleido panel with the most updated version of Android being Android 15 on these devices. It's not the most current version of Android, but it is the most current you're going to find on e-ink. Or $499 if you want to go with the Note Air 4C, which is still very close to being top of the line. I believe it's Android 14, and it doesn't quite have the fully newest refresh system that Books is using. It is using Book Super Refresh, and it's still an excellent tablet. So you've got to put that into comparison, and you've really got to think through, is something running Android 11 and also older version of Kaleido 3 really worth that differential, worth that much more? And I think, if you're paying $50 more for this tablet, and that's really apples to apples with Books as far as what you get if you buy it on Amazon. $79 if you buy this, and it's $529.99, so right there together, and you just get the stylus and the device. If you buy it directly from Books, you also get the cover for that same price. So is that really going to be where you would want to spend the money? Or for even $80 less, you could buy the Note Air 4C, still a tremendous device. Now, I don't have the 5C yet, so I can't do that direct comparison, but trust me, I will when I get it. So it's really going to be up to you in thinking about whether this is more of a fit for what you may want to do. The form factor is nice. It does have some really good qualities to it, barring the stylus, but it is EMR, so you can use any stylus you want. And it is a nice design. It really does lend itself to a lot of things from the initial impressions. I just don't know about the pricing. But anyway, let me know what your comments are. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you're feeling about this device, how it may stack up, what you'd like to see me really cover and get into in a full review, whether you think it's even viable at this point or relevant at this point, considering how fast the market is moving. I'd really like to know your comments. Please like, subscribe, hype, anything you can to help out the channel. Share this video, let everybody know about it. And also thank you so much to all my patrons and all my YouTube insiders. You'll see them scrolling on the screen here. Until next time, thank you all again so much. I look forward to engaging with you in the comments and bringing all of these devices and information on them to you. But I will talk to you all soon and keep on moving forward. Bye now.